What's up?
Yeah, Brad Sham will tell me. Welcome to Fourth Quarter Live, everyone. Uh, I'm Kevin Turner from the Fan in Dallas. It's 105.3. And joining me is the star of the show, Bobby Carpenter, now of ESPN Radio, of course. You know him as Bobby Carpenter, though. We're going to be reacting live to everything as it happens here in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys currently losing 21-14. You can join us face-to-face, though. You don't have to just listen to us. You can get in on this. Hit the fan line button at the top right of your screen. Just press the button, and you'll be sent back to the producer, and we'll get you on with us, and it'll be fun. Hope to hear from you.
As you just watched Tennessee take a huge shot right there, leading off the fourth quarter, it is amazing to me, Kevin, how aggressive Tennessee's been. I thought they'd want to make this game ugly. I didn't think they'd be able to score a lot against this Dallas defense. And in the second half, I know Sean Lee's out, Taco Charlton's out, but they have been ripping the Cowboys D, which is something that I did not expect. I thought this was really the strength of this team so far this year, and right now it's kind of surprising what they've been able to do.
I agree, and I do want to ask you, though, how much does that hurt the overall defense as a guy who played when maybe you got all the momentum and then a big turnover happens and then your defense can't get off the field because your offense strings together a couple 3-and-outs?
It's hard, and that's the thing. Like, we've been putting a lot of pressure on this defense over the years, but with Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, like, I thought those guys would be good enough to step up, and they've done a good job, but it's just a lot. Like Rod Marinelli, they don't blitz a whole bunch.
Yeah.
They put a lot of pressure on the defensive line to get there, put a lot of pressure on the back end and the secondary to hold up if they're not getting there. And so right now, I think Tennessee's been able to run the football. They have a lead, and this is the one thing, if you're Dallas, you didn't want to see happen, where Tennessee, like, you want to see them play catch-up. Get them in a high-scoring game because that's not the type of game they want to play. But right now, like, you have them just where you want them, where if you're Tennessee, where, hey, you can run the football, control the clock, and you don't have to worry about much, and get Marcus Mariota out of the pocket right here, and it looks like they may be drawing a personal foul.
I'm going to work in my buddy here from 105.3, the Fan in Dallas, Jeff Cavanaugh, backstage on the fan line and ready to step in. Hello, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Bobby, come in.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying not to give you too good a look because I'm definitely shirtless on the couch. I don't know how candid we're being here.
That's amazing.
I don't
It
know.
looks like you're on the toilet, but
No,
Hey,
it's the couch. Here's my dog Stomp Face. Yeah. We're in good shape here. Yeah. Just waiting to get a defensive stop because, the Cowboys such a strong team. Surely it's coming,
it does feel like if you fall behind by 10 or even 14, that it's over. And I know it's early and there's a lot of time, but just the way this offense moves the ball, the predictability of the play calling, it just doesn't feel like coming behind from 10 or 14 points in the fourth is going to be something that happens a lot with the Cowboys.
I think that they could do it. The problem is that they haven't been really taking shots down the field. They brought in Amari Cooper. To me, like, the early returns look good. He looks like a young Dez Bryant, the way he runs his routes. I love how he gets in and out. They have not pushed the ball down the field to him at all. Put him in some jump ball situations and let Dak Prescott take a chance. Like, he's a guy that likes to be very cautious with the football, and that's great. But let your young quarterback do something because Tennessee, they're letting Marcus Mariota push it. They're taking some shots with him, and they're getting more creative with their play calls.
JT in the comments wants to know, Bobby, if you have any more of that drink as the Titans are driving now in the Cowboys red zone.
Bobby, this is a candid show.
Yeah, it is. Hey, man, listen, I was up at ESPN all day. I flew back here watching this game. Like, I'm not about to sit here and waste a Monday Night Football game and, not have anything to drink. I'm gonna have a little bourbon here, relax, enjoy the game, and hopefully I don't have to have too much more. I mean, I like Mike Vrabel. He was a guy who I know really well, but I like to see the Cowboys do well. Man, I like Sean Lee. I like a lot of these guys, and unfortunately, like, they're struggling to get off the field. So I've got plenty more of this bourbon where it came from. Hopefully I'm not tapping into too much more tonight, though.
I thought maybe it would be some Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Miller Lite. Well, that is true. I mean, they do love some Miller Lite there.
Thought maybe you'd be a good company man, Bobby. What is this?
First and goal for the Titans. A guy in the comments, Jeff, wants to know, and he cued to you. His name's James. To what degree is Dak the problem?
People don't like it when you say it, but like Jason Garrett's been good before. He had a quarterback where they had one of the best offenses in football for a long time. So I think Dak is a reasonable part of the problem. It's weird, though, because I saw you talk about this on Twitter, KT, where it's like, if you keep him on schedule, Dak's fine. You can win with Dak. It would worry me if he were a $20 million player. I think that I hope they're not locked into we're definitely extending him. But realistically, what are you going to do about it? For the next year and a half, you got a guy who makes $0 basically. And I think you can roll with that. You can win with that. But I think the coach and the quarterback is just such a bad fit. Because like Garrett's so conservative and Dak's so conservative. You get to 2nd and 14 and your drive is over. It's over almost every time.
Well, that's a great point right there. When you look at this, where those two guys, I mean, they mesh up. They're ultra conservative, and so they play off of each other with that. Dak on schedule is great, but the thing with Jason and when Garrett was there with Tony is Tony would take some chances. He'd push a little bit. And sometimes too much. He'd throw a bad interception here and there. But he was always trying to make sure his team had a shot to win. Whereas Dak, I think, will always err on the side of caution, always pull it down, and not make those bad plays. But because of that, you have to dial stuff up. And now they finally have that number one receiver to me in Amari Cooper. Like, I think he's a very good player. So if Dak, they're not able to use him, that's either an indictment on the coaches or it's an indictment on the quarterback. Because I think Cooper can play.
Obviously, huge play down on the goal line, and the Titans will get 3 most likely.
That was a huge stop, by the way, because this keeps it to 10. The touchdown, a field goal, keeps you in business. Oh, my gosh, and they just missed it.
Is now a good time to tell you guys the reason I couldn't do this whole thing tonight is because the storm blew up my router. So right now I'm using my iPhone's connection for everything. And so I have not even seen third down yet. So if you guys could just defeat the entire purpose of this and just be a couple minutes behind before you tell me what happens, that'd be great.
I'm 30 seconds behind on PlayStation View.
So he misses the good news about this game. I try to tell people this because it's like you go nuts when you trade a first-round pick, and I get that. I'm a draft guy. KT, you're a draft guy. We love the draft. Bobby, are you way into the NFL draft?
I like the draft, man. I'm a big college football guy, so I enjoy those guys when they come out.
So, like, not having the first-round pick drives you nuts, but if the Cowboys really got a great route running number one who they're planning to extend for 5 years, he's shown you everything you want tonight. The danger of it is if you keep Dak in place and you keep Garrett in place with Cooper, I don't know if you ever thrive, but he's a guy that he's already shown you that at 24 years old, he can do this for 6 more years. And if you got a number, he doinked it. That's how far behind that.
That is amazing.
Like, and if he can be that, it looks like he can, then that trade's gonna be fine. You just might need a coaching change and you might need a quarterback change.
Here's the thing. I think Amari Cooper is better. He's only 24. I mean, he's he's like a year older than Calvin Ridley. And I think he's better than any receiver in this draft coming up. And he's going to be more polished. Now, you're going to have to pay him if you want to keep him, which that's a whole other separate argument of, we're talking about production for dollar value. But I think Amari Cooper is a very good player. Like, they just mismanaged him in Oakland. With John Gruden, I think Gruden soured on him because he's kind of a young guy and maybe a little immature, but he can play. Like, I think this could be a very good trade. I like this. I was worried because it smelled a lot like the Roy Williams trade to me, but after watching Amari Cooper tonight, I believe that he can be 1,000 plus 1,200 yard receiver annually if they find a way to utilize him the way they need to.
Well, he fits so well with Dak because Dez didn't. Because Dez was sort of, hey, I'm going to physically dominate if you just believe in it and just let the ball go. I'm going to be covered, but I promise. Whereas Cooper, it's like you want separation. You want for a quarterback that's kind of got to see it before he's willing to let it go. There's your separation guy. So I think it fits pretty well with Dak. I love what I've seen from Cooper so far. But, hey, Dak, if there's 2 people covering him, don't throw a pick.
Yeah, it needs to be clean for Dak. And that's the pocket. That's the route running. Everything's got to be clean. and I don't understand, is we've got a mention here in the comments from our guy here. Let's see, I lost here. JT. He says, no Dak runs at all tonight. What gives? Dak in college was a Heisman candidate because he ran the ball 500 times in college. Like, it's what he is. If you take that away from his game, Dak is not a very good quarterback overall. He has to have running be a part of the game. We've seen success this year when there's 4 or 5 designed runs for him, but no designed runs, no really threat of it at all tonight. And you just wonder why that comes into the playbook some weeks and goes out of it some weeks, because it's a huge part of his game.
It is. If you drafted a guy with athleticism, you want to see him use that athleticism. We saw him scramble a little bit there. And if he's going to scramble to throw, that's fine. Now look at Dak. The more I watch of him, he kind of reminds me of a stronger-armed Alex Smith. And like, people look at that as a negative. I mean, Alex Smith's a pretty damn good quarterback in the NFL. Like, he may not be the guy that there's glitz and glamour around, but Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick. He can be a guy you can win with. You just have to make sure that you surround him with talent. So you can't make him a $25 million a year guy. You have to keep him probably under 20 to be able to pay that extra receiver to have a really good number 2 and to make sure you have Zeke and a good offensive line. And if you do that, then I think he'll be able to have success.
First down. I know, Jeff, you're a little behind, and
Yeah,
Bobby, I know you're ahead. Well, it's now 2nd and 12, and it's actually more than that. It's now going to be 3rd down as they brought a blitz. He swung it out to Zeke, and then we're talking about a 3rd and 12 here to keep the drive going.
Oh, well, that's right up Dallas's alley. There's a screen coming. They'll get 4 yards. It'll be great.
See, this is the issue that's plagued Dallas. They put all this investment in their offensive line. Without Travis Frederick, they just give up another sack right here. And Tennessee has gotten to Dak far too much. And sometimes he's held the ball, but on this situation right here, he did not. And you've got Tyron Smith, who, you know, he's all pro. Or no, it's actually Lyle Collins on the right side. And, you know, he's a good player, but he just gets beat. And Dak, I mean, that's not Dak holding the ball. It's the fact that he didn't have enough time.
Yeah, the offensive line is definitely a part of it. And there's Harold Landry again with the sack on 3rd down. Harold Landry, who fell to the 2nd round somehow.
Had no business for the 2nd round.
Probably a candidate to – we thought the Cowboys might consider taking him at 19 last year. Sack for Harold Landry. 3rd down. The Cowboys will have to punt now. That was 3rd and 12. Well, Lyle Collins has regressed this year. I mean, it's real easy. We sit and talk about Dak regressing or whatever. Lyle Collins has regressed. Tyron hasn't been as good. Like, the offensive line is a part of it. Dak hasn't been good. I'm not saying he's been good. But I just think everyone gets so emotional. It's all about the quarterback all the time when all these pieces come into play. And don't get me wrong, Dak's 2 turnovers tonight have killed this team. And if we lose this game or if the Cowboys lose this game, that's the reason. I got no problem saying it. But there's a lot going on. There are penalties that were drive killers, poorly timed penalties, coming after you converted a 3rd down. There's things like that have just murdered this offense the last 2-3 weeks. It's just too much to overcome. It's not Aaron Rodgers back there is what I'm saying.
Well, but you know what? You're not paying him like Aaron Rodgers. He wasn't a 1st-round draft pick.
Yeah.
So I don't put all that on Dak. Like, maybe Lyle Collins is a better left guard than he is a right tackle. Like, and that's not a crime. But then you have to find your right tackle.
He's playing left guard right now, Bob.
Playing left guard.
He's playing left guard. It's Connor Williams.
Yeah, well, they've got some struggles going on. I mean, it's without Travis Frederick, I think, has missed a lot more than people believe.
For sure. It's tough because they're not good enough to overcome some of the things they do to themselves. Like, if you have a penalty and you want to ask your quarterback, they play football the opposite of the way that the NFL's kind of gone. The NFL's gone to where if I have a 5-year penalty, it's not a big deal because most teams are ready to go get 8-10 yards at a time. Most teams don't want to get to 3rd down 4 times per drive, and the Cowboys they're different. The quarterback's not good enough to overcome that, and so if you're going to put yourself in those spots, you're going to lose.
I saw something from Sean Payton the other day talking about how each week they watch Pat Mahomes film, like the coaches. Like, each week they make sure and they see what the Chiefs are doing, like, just to see what's going on. Like, I'm not saying they don't watch the rest of the league, but their whole thing is we do things our way. We're going to win our way and our style of football. It just makes me wonder sometimes, like, How much of the rest of the league are the Cowboys even paying attention to? Or do they?
I think they watch the Titans. I think the Titans and Cowboys.
The Titans, right?
Yeah.
Do they get off the rest of the league?
Yeah.
You can laugh about that, but you look at the Titans' last touchdown, they run the zone read into a shovel pass for a touchdown. Like, that was a hell of a play call right there.
And their OC is from the McVay tree, LaFleur. So,
I mean, as ugly as Tennessee's offense is at times, I mean, they're finding a way to manufacture yards and points, and they've got some pretty ingenious play calls.
We're going to need a DeMarcus Lawrence sack on this drive or something to kind of force a punt. I don't want to rely on their field goal kicker to miss another one.
They need to get Tennessee behind the chains. You've allowed them to stay ahead of the game. And so by doing that, they can run the football. They can do everything that they want to do.
I saw it come.
You need to jump.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You just need to get a lead on them because Tennessee, if you're going to ask Marcus Mariota to drop back 45 times, that's the way you beat the Titans.
I saw today on the Sharp football stats thing, the Titans run the ball in 1st and 10 62% of the time. The Cowboys run the ball in 1st and 10 58% of the time. It's easy to guess what they're going to do as far as tendencies. The Titans have been throwing it quite a bit more than the Cowboys have on first down tonight. And that's a huge down for the Cowboys, as you mentioned, staying in front of the chains. That is really the key to the entire offense is staying in front of the chains. So
right there, their defense does a great job. D-line gets great penetration, huge stop. Now you're sitting Tennessee in, second 13, second 14. Like, now you're putting them in a situation where it's going to be on Marcus Mariota, and they're going to have to do some creative play calling. And that is the key to this Dallas defense. They have an aggressive D-line that's really good. They have to be able to make negative yardage plays on 1st and 2nd down to get in those critical third downs because they don't bring a lot of pressure.
Gentlemen, I'm going to figure out how to hang up on myself so that so I see my mouse on a wheel internet sees this game in real time. And wish you guys the best of luck tonight.
Oh my!
Rest in peace, Jeff.
Rest in peace. A flag on the play, but a huge gain on the screen there.
Golly, another screen. So we had him in 2nd and long.
And that's a big piece. Like, to slow down a great defensive line, you run the screen, and I'm curious to see the flag. It looks like it's probably going to be on Tennessee. Oh, no. Hands to the face defense. That play's going to
Byron Jones, hands to the face. So the play stays, and the Titans are at about the 30. That'll actually move it up 5 more yards to the 25. Driving again, just under 8 minutes left. So not good. Not good. We thought we dodged a bullet a minute ago and then had another 3-and-out situation. Just kind of a tough time right here. And as James points out in the comments, hey, man, we got the Eagles next week. Eagles on Sunday night. We're off this week because they were coming back from London. So the Eagles have had, 12, 13 days off, although that London trip does probably take a little bit more to recover from. And then after that, you got to go to Atlanta and play the Falcons, who are now 4-4. So
Falcons are playing much better right now.
Really got to win tonight. You really got to win.
Well, and you look at Tennessee, like, this wasn't a team that could score. I mean, I thought the ceiling for Tennessee was 24 points. Now they missed a field goal, and they'd be sitting right there. But with this Dallas defense, I thought it would be a low-scoring game. And I thought the Cowboys would be able to manufacture some 16-20 win or 17-13, something that's ugly with a lot of field goals. But Tennessee's got it done in the red zone, and they've gotten creative running the ball. And even when they've been behind the chains right there, like, you have them in a 2nd and 13. You let them out, and now they're looking at a 3rd and 5, a more manageable 3rd down.
So you had the sack on 1st down, and then gave up a few right there, so it's a 3rd and short coming.
I mean, it's not short, but 3rd and 6, like, that's manageable. That's what Tennessee's done, is they've given themselves a chance. And I put a lot in this Dallas defense. I know they're missing Sean Lee, and they're missing Taco Charlton, but injuries are part of it. They have good players. And here's the biggest thing is I think that they probably haven't given their defense enough help tonight by staying on the field. Like, Tennessee's held the ball for almost this entire second half.
Ugh.
Corey Davis.
So a 1st down right there for the Titans. Mariota swings it to the outside, first down at the 18. Clock ticking, too, is now something that you got to kind of consider as you're now down under.
If they can hold them to a field goal here, they're not all bad, but they have got to – they can't give them another first down. You said the clock is the enemy. If they can stop them here without getting another first down, they should be able to get the ball back without 4 minutes left. You're down 10. It's not ideal, but it gives you a shot, especially if Tennessee throws it. But I knowing Mike Vrabel, I don't think they're going to throw the football. But, like, here's another situation. Great job. You stop them. They're facing, 2nd and 8. Van Der Esch, great play. Lewis goes out of bounds, stops the clock. Like, this is a great opportunity here. And now it's going to be a big second down to make sure you force Mariota into a 3rd and long where he has to be the guy that wins the down for you. Don't give him a 3rd and medium where they can dump a screen off, throw a swing, run a draw. Put it on the quarterback who really hasn't shown a lot of success as a drop-back passer.
I know, Bobby, you watch a lot of the league, if not all of it, because I know you do the Sunday show on ESPN in the afternoon where there's a lot of live action going on. Are you kind of surprised that there are still teams that kind of play this style of ball the way that Cowboys and Titans try to play? Because there's not many teams who play this way.
Not many teams do, but there's teams that do it with success. Like the Patriots do it to a certain extent at different points in time. They're running lead week with Cordell Patterson as their running back. Like, they're just great. I'm like watching this stuff like, you got to be kidding me. And the Chargers, they'll get in some old school stuff and they'll pound the football. Like, you can win like that. But the thing is, like, you've got to be good defensively, which Dallas is, but they've let them out now on after they've had them back in 2nd and long. I just keep going back. They never take shots on first down. And now you have the guy in Amari Cooper. And you've got to let him try to win one-on-ones. Like, I know Dak doesn't like throwing into, jump ball situations. That's why him and Dez didn't necessarily mesh, but you have to do it.
So we got Bill in New Jersey ready on the fan line. Huge play coming, though. The 3rd and 1, Bobby, real quick, because you're ahead of me. How'd the 3rd and 1 go? Tennessee takes a timeout, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee ran some play action. Like, they just ran the boot with Mariota. If I was them, Dallas has a pretty good defensive line. They could pound the football, but there's also an opportunity, I think, right there for them, with their athletic quarterback. And this is something that I don't think Dallas does enough with Dak, is move him out of the pocket. You just saw Tennessee do it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. 3rd and 1, run a boot.
What's up?
Give him a run pass option.
What's happening, Bill?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Great show tonight. Tough to see the Cowboys playing like this, coming out of a bye. Did you expect more of a kind of cohesive game plan, considering they had the full week off?
I thought we saw some of that in the first half. And then you saw, I think the scripted portion of the game, I think you saw a little bit of that. There were a couple things that you'd go, okay, that was a pretty good design play. And then it fell into the same old boring bag of tricks, of really no bag of tricks in the second half.
If Sean Lee's playing, does he stop this touchdown?
I would say I'm a little behind because I'm on PlayStation View.
I mean, they're in a big coverage. It's a big coverage down right there. And they let him split the defense right in the middle.
Well, what kind of tackling is that from Smith there? He just pushes him. He doesn't even try to wrap at all.
Yeah.
So now we're 20. It's about to be 28-14, assuming the extra point goes down with 4 minutes left. Huge loss. But I didn't see this, man. I thought the Cowboys were going to dominate most of the game. They dominated the first quarter and didn't punch it in and didn't miss a field goal. And the Dak interception was huge,
You mentioned the missed field goals. Like, that's one thing where I look at. You make the decision to move on from Dan Bailey. For whatever reason, money, age, I don't know. But every time I miss a field goal, all I know is that Dan Bailey didn't miss a heck of a lot of field goals. He was pretty darn good for a long time.
And Maher's been good. That miss was, I think, his 2nd or 3rd miss. I think they thought, based on when I went to training camp there, the week after or the week before I was there, I was talking to some people, and they said Bailey had a couple bad days. They kind of scared everyone because he did not close out the year healthy, was missing some kicks. And I think it was enough to the point where they were like, well, we got this other guy who can boom it. Also, there's not a lot of confidence anymore really in Bailey kicking it out of the end zone.
Oh yeah, as you age, you lose the power on your kickoff.
But you're right though. I mean, crucial moments, whatever. Dan Bailey, you feel 100% confident. With Maher, you're still not there where you're like, oh yeah, he got it, automatic. But Maher's been good,
Bailey from 45 and inside, man, he nailed everything.
So Tennessee, as JT points out, 10 of 12 on third downs. What do you?
You know why? Because they've had manageable third downs.
Yeah.
On second down, they've won second down, and a lot of the third downs they're facing are 3rd and 5 or 6 or less. And it's amazing if you look at these rosters, they're very similar in how they're and how they've been designed. They want to have good offensive line play, run the ball, play good defense. They have an athletic quarterback that they can move around. They have Corey Davis in Tennessee, but I would argue that Amari Cooper is a better player at this point in his career than Corey Davis is, even though it's his first week here in Dallas. But I think Tennessee utilizes their personnel a little bit better. They find a way. Like, you watch them boot Mariota out, they get him on the run, they utilize his athleticism. One of the things that makes him special. Like, I haven't really seen that a lot out of Dak.
They played like the Cowboys, offense is kind of designed to perform.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they have two teams. One team executes the vision a lot better than the other right now. At least that's what I've saw.
That's what happened tonight. It's that interception down on the goal line, killer. A killer. I mean, those are points just given away, and obviously it turned out to be momentum. You just can't let teams off the hook, obviously, as you know. I want to get into this from Gareth because I think it's interesting what the former player would answer and how the sports talk radio host would answer this. From Gareth, the game's over. Is the season over too?
The one thing I will say this, with the Redskins losing, I mean, the Eagles, I think they're probably going to go on a little bit of a run. Based upon what I've seen tonight, I don't think Dallas could catch them, but they're not out of it.
No.
Like, if they would have won tonight, they would have been right there. No one's running away with this division. I think 10 wins gets it done for sure. And so I think that they're still there, but they've got to put something together. And maybe Dak will show us something on this drive that leads you to believe it's possible.
The NFC in general, like you have, as you said, the division, which you'd obviously be focusing on winning. It's there for you. Washington just had 3 guys go out for the year today. Like,
that's my point. Like,
it's open. The Panthers are going to take one of those wild card spots. The other wild card spot's open. It ain't like Green Bay and Minnesota and Chicago. One of those teams will win that division.
I think Chicago's kind of fake.
I do too.
I agree. Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers and not a lot else. Their defense can be up and down. That second wild card is out there. Like, Seattle's in the mix for it. Green Bay's in the mix for it. But I could see Dallas being in the mix for this, but they've got to start putting something together.
It just feels like it's about to get tough too, though. Eagles, Falcons. You're going to have the Redskins on Thanksgiving and then the Saints after that. Like, it's just that's a brutal 4-game stretch, and that's why tonight was a must-win because you could split those games, go 6-6. If you get to 4-4 tonight, find a way to split those games. You'd have to beat the Redskins again, obviously. The end of the year, they have some gifts. They've got the Colts and the Bucks and some things like that. And it's just you had to have tonight, and this was a really brutal loss. I'm not saying it's over yet, but it's sort of over.
I'm not saying it's over yet, but I'm already going to mark up the loss.
They've kind of made onside kicks impossible to get now too, so it's kind of weird.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you've got to win games that you're supposed to win in this league. And you go back and look at some of the losses that Dallas has had, and it just hurts. Like, losing that tight game with Washington, losing an overtime game with Houston. Like, you don't want to ever say what if, but you have to find a way to convert those games into victories. You're going to go back at the end of the year and you're going to be 8-8 and think, how did we get to 10-6? It's by winning games that we should have won.
And Bobby, I know you know the guy. I'm not sitting here killing him. I'm not doing that. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. But to me, if Garrett's not going to be one of those head coaches that has some crazy offensive scheme that's blowing everyone away, then he's got to be elite in clock management. Okay. And to me,
yeah. we can get
clock.
That's there's no defending that.
Yeah.
There's no defending it.
The Houston game and the Washington game on the road, you were outplayed, but you were in it with a chance to win, and clock management killed you. And this is just not a team that's good enough to not go steal a game on the road somewhere like that. And they weren't able to do that. And to me, that's kind of where the nail went in the coffin, although this one's going to stick out, man. This is going to be a long week, and I don't think going to Philly after a bye week is really going to help things. I mean, I think we're talking about a team that's 3-6 after next week, goes to Atlanta, the place that broke Dak last year. We're looking at 3-7 after trading your first-round pick. And I get it. We got what you got, but
I'm seeing out of Amari Cooper, they can get more out of it. Like, he's an underutilized asset. I mean, Dak, they can do some things, man, but you've got to let them go.
Yeah.
You've got to let them go. Like you said, Dak's a conservative guy by nature, so you have to call more aggressive plays. You can't have the conservative coach and the conservative player as well, because they're not going to be able to ever take any shots. Like, I think Amari Cooper is a good player. Like, to me, he's a Pro Bowl. He's a legit number one. And you have a good slot receiver. Like, they're hurting without Jason Witten. He was a guy that would move the chains for him, but he's not coming back. He's in the booth. That's the reality.
I think
you've got to use the guys you have.
I think Gallup's a good player, and we'll get better. You see him catch a big pass over the middle. I know you're ahead of me a little bit. But I think Gallup's a guy who's going to continue to improve. I'm sure they're going to sign Beasley in the offseason.
They better sign Beasley. Like, he's their slot guy. But you could probably find – there's guys out there. Like, can you name me a skill player on Tennessee?
Corey Davis is the guy. When Delaney Walker went down, it was kind of a brutal loss for them.
They lost their best guy. You have Corey Davis. Like, Lewis is good. I mean, but as far as receivers, they don't have much.
Yeah.
So they still find a way to move the football. And that's what Dallas needs to do. Like, now they're in 2-minute hurry up, and I understand, so you're not going to see the exotic play calls. But I just haven't seen that creativity yet. And that's – I played – Scott Linehan was in Detroit when I was there. Dak, you got to get out of bounds, sir. Okay, you got the first down. You're not going to be able to spike it. That's clock management. I think it would be better right there. Was it third down? But, I mean, I was around Scott Linehan. I think that he does a pretty good job. But, I mean, you have to force it as a head coach to try to force the ball down the field, especially now that you have that guy.
I just think that it's kind of – we've seen it too much this year and last year. Where we just get to a point of you kind of can sit around and predict what's happening. I know it's an easy thing for people to say and fans to say or whatever. I understand that, but I just don't think in this offense, the way they like to do things, with the way the league is going, I don't know. And Dak can play in that league. I think Dak can play in that league because that style of play is what he did at Mississippi State. Now, again, he ran it 500 times in his 4 years there. You know, he carried the ball over 100 times a year. Yeah. But, you know, there's just some things, some route concepts you look at and you go, we're not doing a lot of rubs and we're not doing a lot of crossing. You know, it kind of happens here and there. You just don't see it a lot compared to other teams.
No, it is. You don't feel like it's really part of what they do. They'll throw it in intermittently and then they kind of go away from it. Like, I don't think Dak is Cam Newton. But I don't think he needs to be. You know, Jerry made those comments where you want to see some stuff like that. I mean, Cam Newton is a unique athlete. Like, you don't see players like him. He is rare. But I think that there are a lot of things with Dak that they can do to take advantage of what he is when they really haven't done that. And so you're going to limit the guy of why you drafted him and what he is.
I think
now it's coming out of the 2-minute warning. Okay, I thought Amari Cooper's on the sideline. I think he's in the game. But, I mean, I'd be taking a shot to him right here. Oh, they're throwing the throwback to Dak. Nice. Go catch it.
Overthrew him.
Gave him a shot.
There's the trick play you wanted.
I mean, coming out of a timeout, not a lot of teams bring pressure. I give Tennessee credit for being aggressive because if that play doesn't have pressure on it, I think it's a touchdown.
Cowboys do have all 3 timeouts, so if they do score,
they're still in this. But they have to score right now.
Beasley played quarterback in high school, so.
What?
Beasley did play quarterback in high school. He almost put it on the money.
That wasn't a bad ball. He gave his guy a chance. The one thing you can't do is throw a pick, and so he didn't do that at least. Oh no, that was a lateral, by the way. That should not have been blown dead. Pretty sure I was going backwards.
Ugh.
But I don't think part of the reason is they're not protecting very well.
They're not. And they haven't. They haven't. They had, for the most part, in the home games they had. On the road, they're giving up 4 sacks a game. And, your offensive line coach gets fired for that and all that stuff. But, yeah, there's a lateral. That's ugly.
I mean, let me ask you this because you're in it every day and you're taking calls on it. What are the thoughts on Jason Garrett as a head coach?
Everyone's out. They've wanted him gone for 3 years now.
Really?
Yeah. Even after 2016, everyone wanted him out. Jason does no favors to himself by showing no emotion to the public, but that's a whole different deal.
Who he is, though, as a person. That's fine.
The plan for a field goal, the game management, man. You just can't. You have to in this league manage the clock, and you see it in college, you see it in NFL every week. Coaches struggling to manage the clock. I'm amazed that teams don't hire a guy to just stand next to the coach and just say, hey, here's where we need to call the timeout. Here's what you need to do.
Believe me, I help my dad coach high school football, and that's one of the main things I do is sit there with him and just monitor everything. It's a 4th and 10. Dak is under huge pressure and just has to throw out the back of the end zone. And Bill Belichick would always say my last year in New England, hey, more games are lost than won in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
If you're not calling plays, and I always give a guy who's calling plays a little more leeway, but if you're not calling plays, that is the one thing you're thinking is, hey, you're telling your offensive coordinator, it's third and 8. Hey, you have 2 to make 1, or 2 to make 1 right here. We're going to go for it. And this is the situation, or we're in a situation here where we're going to burn a timeout, or you're asking your defensive coordinator, how are we feeling about this? Can we get a stop? Do we need a timeout? You're all over the clock management, knowing that, hey, let's take it to a quarter right here. We're leading. Let's try to bleed this thing dry. And I just haven't seen those things out of this team that makes me to believe that they're on it.
Just not there. And I think, what you said, if you went and asked the fans or media, whatever. I mean, I think it's coaching first. I think there's still a bit of belief in Dak to get a chance with a new scheme. But Dak is not – I mean, people have not been happy with Dak in his last 8 games of last year, and then this year he hasn't been very good some days. More often than not, he hasn't been very good. And you can see some throws that many, many, many other quarterbacks are making in the league. You don't need him to be Aaron or Tom or Drew Brees. They need him to be a top 16 quarterback in the league, though.
And that's what I think he can be. I don't think Dak's a top 5 guy. But if you're going to pay him like a top 5 guy, he doesn't need to be that. But he could be an 8 to 16 guy or an 8 to 12 guy with his ability, especially when they have some weapons around him. But they haven't been able to protect him. They have Amari Cooper. I think they used him all right tonight. I mean, I think you could get more out of him based upon what he is, but you have to draw stuff up to get him involved and get him engaged. I just didn't see enough of that.
Yeah, the things we saw with Cooper tonight, you sit there and go, well, we hadn't seen that all year because no one else on the team can do that besides maybe Beasley, get open on his own because Beasley can get open all the time. But, man, I sit there and think there's a couple things I do want to throw out. The Titans have the number 1 red zone defense in the league, so remember that. Hey, nothing's easy with this offense as it is.
You know what stops a great red zone defense? Scoring big plays when you don't get in there.
Yeah. And
take some shots from the top.
They had their chance down on the goal line, threw it away, missed the field goal, all that stuff. They had their chances. This is, to me, the Garrett nail in the coffin. I know for sure Linehan's gone. Linehan won't survive this year. There's enough frustration in-house, too, that'll kind of take care of that. That's not happening. Linehan's gone. They gave him everything he wanted. And he wanted a number of things, and they're gone. Wade Wilson, gone. I mean,
Do you think he didn't get along with Wade Wilson?
I'm not saying he didn't get along with Wade Wilson. I'm saying Wade Wilson at his age getting kind of pushed out last year in 2017. Last year in 2017, Wade Wilson was kind of locked out of the offensive game plan. And he's like, man, why even come back for this? So it's not like he got canned. But he's like, why come back for this? This guy's taken over the entire offense, and he shut out everyone. And Dooley was frustrated, and he went and got the OC job at Missouri, which is a good job. And Drew Lock is, one of the quarterbacks that'll be drafted this year. He hasn't had a great year. Kellen Morris became the quarterback coach. To me, it's odd that they didn't keep around a Mark Sanchez or someone like that who was instrumental. And
quarterback, by the way.
Say it again.
Who is the backup quarterback?
Cooper Rush.
Oh boy.
Yeah. To me, like no veteran, in house to kind of help you through stuff.
When you have
don't have
that. I thought that there was a veteran guy on the roster.
That Josh McCown type guy, no, not there. It's all young guys.
Because I think that helps the growth of a young quarterback. Even if the guy isn't a great player, but and when I say this, like Brad Johnson won a lot of games, the NFL won a Super Bowl, Pro Bowl player. Like, I know that him being around helped Tony, just temperament-wise, with what he could provide. Same thing with John Kitna. Like, having that guy that's an 8+ year veteran, especially when you have a quarterback that's on his first deal, like, and is a young guy, like, just knowing what they've seen, their ability may not be able to get it done, but their mind can, and that's what helps those young guys.
To me, the supportive guy who doesn't care if he plays or not. Exactly. I'm not saying he doesn't care, but like Josh McCown is so ideal, and everyone talks about him. And Sanchez was that in 2016.
Oh yeah,
Sanchez was that for Dak. I mean, he's talked about it. Everyone knows it. Like, how did that? Sanchez hung around with the Bears for a while, and they ended up cutting him. But even Trubisky was like, man, Sanchez was awesome. He's very helpful, So
he's a psychological cheerleader for that guy, and it's a guy that the only people that truly understand that are a guy who's been in that position. Mark Sanchez has. He's been critics. Believe me, he got raked over the coals in New York. He knows what it's like.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up soon. I think Bobby and I are going to give our final takes. Thanks to everyone who's hung in there with us. As JT says, this is all on the coaching. So I think that's what the coaches and Dak are all going to get killed this week here in Dallas. I can tell you that much. But for me, my final take and final thought is you can't turn the ball over twice as a quarterback like Dak did, especially at the 1 yard line. That's a huge interception and a killer. But there's so many problems with this team, whether it's in the press box calling plays, up in the coach's box calling plays, whether it's the offensive line getting on the same track. And now you got to go to Philly on a short week after they are coming off a bye, and then go to Atlanta, then take the Redskins and then the Saints. This was your chance to catch up with everyone and be in the mix. You got to win this game at home. Like, it's a team that, quite frankly, I think you're probably better than if we played this game 10 times. You got to win the game. You didn't do it. And we can mark it down November 5th, 2018 as the end of Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett.
So you think Garrett's gone after this?
I'm not 100% convinced because I know Jerry does not want to fire Jason. I know that. But that was a devastating blow. They made that trade because they really thought they could go win the division this year.
Well, and here's part of it. You bring in Amari Cooper tonight. He has 5 catches for 58 yards and a TD. He only got targeted 8 times. I think you probably could have amped that up another 3 or 4 targets because he's a guy that can get open. You can win with him. And you have Zeke Elliott, who only had 17 carries and only 61 yards. I agree, he had 4 catches for 51. He's great out of the backfield and can provide you some action there. But this team, you have to run the football better. You have to get better offensive line play. The defense is good, and they're very effective, but you can't leave them on the field the entire game. And they got worn down at the end. And Tennessee was able to run the ball. So, I'd like to just throw this on Dak. Well, Dak didn't play well. That second fumble, like he was under siege all night. When you're getting a quarterback getting sacked a lot, you're eventually going to cough the ball up. So the interception is one thing. Sacks leading to fumbles, because I didn't see him holding the ball. It was the fact that he was getting hit, and it was getting hit quick. So I put some of that on scheme. some of that on the offensive line, but they've got to find a way to start manufacturing some offense and some offensive creativity.
I agree, and I don't really know. I mean, because this is a thing, Bobby, after each week, and we spend all week talking about it, then we sit there and go, when are they going to get more creative? And I just don't know if that's something that happens in this regime. Now, I think you could save it. I think Garrett could save his job probably. They're not going to quit on Jason. They never have. Even in years where Romo breaks his collarbone or whatever, they never quit on Jason.
They play hard.
They play hard, and I think that says something
to that now, because you can't say that about everybody, especially if you look at the Raiders and Gruden and some of the things that have happened. Like that, this team has always played hard for Jason, so that is something that cannot be underestimated. And
also, Jerry doesn't want to fire him. I think we all know that. Like, I think that's and you've been around the organization for a long time, and I think and you were there in the old regime as well. I don't think Jerry wants to do that again. I think he wants to do he likes the setup he has, the comfort level he has with Jason. Bring in a new scheme. Man, I want Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech to leave the head coaching job and go be the OC. I mean, they're running his plays in Kansas City.
Cliff would take the head job.
Would you take the Cowboys OC job over the Texas Tech head coach job?
No. I want to run my own shop.
What if I could money whip you?
Well, and that's the thing. If you're willing to pay him $3 or $4 or $5 million to do it, then maybe.
What do you think he makes at Tech? 3, 2, 3?
I bet he makes between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So you'd have to probably give him close to 4.
Let's do 4.
That's a hell of a lot for an offensive coordinator.
The Chiefs admitted that they basically take plays from him. They sit there.
Cliff Kingsbury is smart, and he's a handsome dude. So I mean, you
bring him in here.
On that.
Maybe we can talk him into it. Bobby, I enjoyed this, man. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime.
No, absolutely, sir. It was fun.
I know you're incredibly busy. I'd like to get you on my radio show in Dallas sometime on the Fan. It's the Ben and Skin Show, everyone.
Time, dude. Give me a shout.
That's a shameless plug for my stuff. But thanks to everyone who hung out with us on Fan Cred. That was a lot of fun. Maybe we can do this again sometime. And thanks to everyone for checking in. Follow at FanCred. Download the app. And on Twitter, at FanCred, of course, fancred.com. There's all the plugs, just getting all that out there. For Bobby Carpenter, I'm Kevin Turner. Thank you very much for listening, and sorry that the Cowboys lost. Oh, no. Good night, everyone.
Good night.